Hello everyone and welcome back once again to Gary Grigsby's War in the East 2. We're here in turn 3 and let's continue. So let's now properly start with Army Group North here and see what these guys can do. So as it is, these units definitely need to move up as well. And I'll just see how far I can get my guys, while at the same time trying to dig a bunch of hexes here. Okay, so the enemy seems to be positioned around that road. That's fair enough. What I'll do is I'll try to keep these units. Yeah. All of these within supply like this. It's looking pretty neat. Although, if we're looking at capture dates, we're well, I don't want to say we're a little bit behind, but I guess it is the exact time that I'm supposed to capture this, basically. And obviously, I'm not gonna make it. Anyway. For all intents and purposes, you guys will move through this way. Again, I'll try to stick as close to the rail line as possible, wherever I can, especially with this double rail line over here. It seems like there's still this part, which is probably damaged. So we'll have to deal with that. Meanwhile, there is these guys. They have to move all the way up there. So I guess their best shot is just to move through here. There's no way they can snoop off any territory, really. Yeah, they might just as well try to cross here at Yigapils. Well, the thing is, if I move them just straight up, they will have at least already crossed. Yeah, let's move it like this. So. At least then they'll have had the major river already as a crossing point. So then they... I guess we'll have done that. So for you, it would be also at least good to make kind of a flank there. We'll we'll see how far I can get ultimately. Yeah, pretty far. They have a pretty big defensive line here. I'll see whether I can actually surround them. That is exceptionally unlikely, I think, but we'll see. This only takes that hex, which I can also grab by moving in there. So there is then no real reason to get on my high horse with that. Interesting that they can go in here, but then I guess crossing costs 4. Alright, let's remove that HQ. Basically, I'll keep the 18th Army HQ on that particular hex. Together, I guess, with this core. That should be fine. That leaves me with just this one unit. The thing is that the way that the manual said it did is that basically my unit currently has 200 movement points. And for every 24 movement points, let me actually just check the manual. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So basically the way it seems to work is that you can set a certain army to assault status. And what assault status will do is it will primarily give a lot of bonuses to that particular army. But the drawback is that that army will be unable to build fortifications higher than level 1. But one of the positive effects is that they will be able to regain combat preparation points much faster. If a HQ is not in assault status, a unit will get 1 combat preparation point per 24 strategic movement points, so of the 200. Yeah, per 24 that is left over at the end of the turn, it will gain 1 combat preparation point. And for units that are in assault status, that will be per 12. So they'll get it a lot faster, but these units do have to be in German-owned territory, sorry, I guess in friendly territory, and they cannot be on the front line, because if those are the case, then they will not acquire them. So that is something that you have to be careful about. I'm not sure whether these units would also get it. I don't think they would. But at any rate, what that does mean is that you actually do benefit quite a lot from putting units in assault status. Now, the HQ does not get the bonuses from being in assault status if you, if they are overburdened, or if they're not properly in the chain of command. Now, in this case, if I would want these guys to regain some combat bonuses, for example, I would have to, for example, put them in this hex. Then I'll have 146 left. And I might actually put the 18th Army in combat status. Under the current conditions, it would get back 6 combat preparation points, if I'm not mistaken. A unit loses 1 combat preparation point for each 1 hex that it moves. As you can see here, I move 1, it goes down by 1, and it gets 2 fatigue. Now, that applies, I guess, for every hex that they move through, except that moving into swamp seems to increase their fatigue significantly. They didn't get more fatigue by going into light woods, but they did get a lot more fatigue from moving into swamp, double the amount. So that is actually pretty interesting, and I guess worthy to note. Like, I'm not gonna do a whole lot with this unit at this particular moment. It's attached to the HQ, and yeah, this is pretty much where I'm gonna leave it at. It doesn't need to attack, and this way at least it will regain some combat preparation points, which I guess should increase its combat values. It will be interesting to see if I move these guys over in here. Now they'll be at 14. I'd rather have them in the city because it might be that the AI will try to retake that city there. Yeah, we'll see. But that seems to be generally how it works. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. Now, if I want to get to Pskov, there are a few things that I need to do. The first thing, in this case, I guess, would be to attack these. Shouldn't be that big of a problem. I also want to get these guys out of the way. Which... Are we really gonna do this? I mean, I can't do a hard attack. Are you kidding me? Maybe I'm much better off trying to break through, not attacking them. I would still need to also push that, and then now I have a pretty reasonable way to get across towards Pskov at least. Okay, so next up, I actually want to push these guys out. That shouldn't be that big of a problem. Because when it comes to Pskov, basically... I need to show the flags. I pretty much need to capture it actually this turn, because the historical capture date is the 9th, and this turn is from the 6th till the 13th, I think. That's kind of how it works. So if you actually think about it, basically I should have been able to get up till here as a historical capture date. That's pretty insane in terms of game mechanics. Maybe you can get there if you know more about the game, but so far I'm not there yet. Yeah, you do need to move forward. Anyway. You can't even cross properly, so you are the only one besides those units that gets to attack. Let's see if I can assign some more support units. I guess a pioneer. unit. Even more flak will still increase their combat performance, but I'm happy with all the additional engineers. Right. I lost 20 tanks in the process, but I guess I got it. Now, at this point, I do think that my units should try to relax for a bit. I definitely need more infantry up there, which I currently do not have. That is one of the tough parts about it. And I'm quite sure there are infantry units there too. It's not as if I can just, you know, go in here and then claim to be fine. Actually, what I'll do is if I move in here, they'll have 53. They'll actually not be right next to either of those, so they should be reacquiring, you know, like 4 or so combat points. And if I just keep these guys on refit here too, they will hopefully perform reasonable during the next turn. So I'm never going to be able to get these guys out of the light woods here. I'm not sure what this is. I'm inclined to take a look. Okay, that is actually pretty reasonable. So let's see. That's also very interesting indeed, because if what is this? This is rough. If I go here, technically 8, 5, 6, 4. So regardless, it will still take quite a while before I get even close to Novgorod. Although the historical capture date for Novgorod is mid-August, and that means that will still take a while. Still, the thing is that I can technically threaten to get around all of this, and then these units that are around here will be in trouble. Again, I'm not sure how the rail line works for the AI. But if they were a human player, they would have difficulty trying to get, you know, these units out through that single rail line there already. And with these guys moving towards this side, hopefully I can go for a good encirclement of Soviet troops within that area. that would mean, I mean, if I go here, I do cut their double rail line. I do think, yeah, that must be pretty good. Just like that. Sure, so this way I still have you guys. They could try to move forward, but they can't even cross. So they're just better to stay in there. Meanwhile, let's move you across actually. At this point, though, my main problem becomes that the enemy might actually encircle my troops, since they can then move in here and then move in here. And I can actually see them being quite aggressive at that. What that means is I actually think that what I want to do is I want to... because I don't have any other troops in this area that can protect this line like that. Let's move you a little bit forward to this side. They can still try to go in here, but I feel that they would be hard pressed to take some of these hexes. One thing I can also do is actually move in. No. Yeah, let's move. Oh. No, I can probably not undo that. Let's move you back. Yeah, okay. So let's move them like this. And yeah, that at least does cut that double rail. All right, I'm altogether not extremely unsatisfied. I mean, I'm kind of hard to please please at this, but yeah, it's okay. I'm gonna move this forward as well over here, all the way. Sure. So that again deals with Army Group North. I will move. I mean, this is also going to be very tricky. Technically, what I could do is go in here and attack that. And maybe that is actually what I want to do with you guys. Going in with a hard attack. They do have very good position here, so... what it does, it frees up the 14th motorized here. Even if it's just a little bit, they can now much easier move at least down from there. Yeah, we already discussed that they very likely have a unit there, maybe even here, but I'm not sure. Either way, this was more or less actually about moving. But that not necessarily yet about anything else. Of course, the 9th Army is... Well, the 9th Army is going to be tasked with... moving north of Matka. So they are basically going to look at the Kalinin Torzhok area here. Now, historically, the Germans did capture Kalinin, and then I believe even they captured some of these crossings up here. I'm quite sure they captured Rogachevo. I believe they actually crossed the Moscow-Volga Canal here, somewhere around here, but then they were basically pushed back afterwards. I believe. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Certainly not attack with you at this stage, but actually I'm happy that that attack succeeded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. You have 4 out of 9. These guys are already high up there. Let's make sure these guys at the very least also move in that general direction. And the thing is, yeah, let's actually move you here. You two, and then we'll see whether they'll actually get a supply depot, whether the AI is smart enough to do that by itself. If there's no way I can attack anything here, but I will attach them to, I guess, the 5th Corps, because I mean, why not? And basically from there, at least they'll take this here 1 hex. For all intents and purposes, the 9th Army is, you know, in no position yet to move forward here. Yeah, they must have a unit either here or further. Let's assign you. Nah, it's just not gonna happen. They tried, but these guys are too dug in. Not really sure how much they have left in terms of ammunition and such. Either way, you are part of this corps. There we are. And this corps is going to be part of the 2nd Army. There we go. So let's start with that. Now, with the 2nd Army engage like that, let's actually see whether the OKH, they don't have any support units currently, so basically all the rail units are indeed somewhere else. They still have a whole slew of construction battalions that are not actually working. That is the thing that I find most interesting, is that they're actually working on very little rail line each turn. Either way, these guys do have a lot of combat points. I do believe they should be able to rout them. Okay. Good, because they almost destroyed this rail line here. Very critical that they would not. This security unit will actually take care of that. But now okay. let's just clear those up too then. There we go. Let's offload them immediately. Now, I will probably be able to clear most, if not all of that pocket in the next turn. The only one thing that I think I do want to do here is defeat them. And that's because they're very close to that rail line. I don't want them to move into this hex and then disrupt it. So, okay, that's unfortunate. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that's the most important thing. So they have been taken care of, and technically now I can also take that one hex and move in there. That's not great, but like I said, I need to make sure that that rail line remains under my control, and I can't have them go and disrupt that at this stage of the game. That's just no good. I have to say that it seems quite a waste. To be moving through this area, indeed. It is it is not amazing. Although ultimately, I think I would need at least units to go for this rail line here in between. Here as well, to move up through there. There we go. This is obviously not great, but let's protect the flank of Bobrusk here. Apparently, the AI does have some units around this area, which I currently do not see. But well, maybe one day. Maybe one day. For now, though, I do think it is going to be very important to try and get these guys moving as much as possible. In order to do that, I also think it is probably best to keep them moving as much as possible. No, I will switch these guys over because these guys, for example, yeah, I should put you under the 13th Corps. There we are. Bam. I get these guys moving in there. Now, what I can do is I can get these guys onto that supply hex, and then I'll put you under the 9th as well. So now all three of those guys are put under the 9th. Oh yeah, if there's any HQ that I'm moving, it's these guys. But I mean, primarily this episode, I guess in a way, was going to be part of Army Group North, but because I had an additional episode trying to take care of pockets, etc. during the previous episode, I kind of have a bit more time here as well to deal with this. You have very little fatigue, interestingly enough, but also very little attack points. At the very least, it probably means they haven't seen much combat for the moment. Can you cross the river? The answer is no. Let's try to get them in this center area then. These guys do have the 900th Lair Motorized Brigade, but since we're just straight up moving at this point, yeah, that's out of the question, or besides the question, at the very least. Funnily enough, the rail from here, I just repaired it. Okay, fair enough. I did all of that in one go. Wow. That's pretty good. Yeah, like I should be able to take care of that on the next turn. Ooh, you guys can move a lot further, and I guess you will. Yes, please. Given that well, let's actually move you forward. I'll probably find another HQ in there. I'm sure I'll manage. Now, the one thing that's been bugging me at least a bit is this. So, if I go through here, I'm still not taking quite a few of those hexes. Now, what I can technically do is I can split up the security division to try and take as many hexes there as possible, which should allow me at least to also move the 255th in between through here. And then I'll put the HQ on there, and we'll see. I can at the very least move into Sarny, but they do have a pretty solid wall of units out in that location, so it's not as if things are going to be amazing. The same actually applies for the security division. I can probably use it in order to get stuff in between there. Meanwhile, I'll move some of these guys towards Lutsk while I continue on. One thing I do feel is probably worthwhile in this section, even with these guys, is to attack that. Not succeeding apparently. I guess it was worth a try, but ultimately that didn't work out. Besides that, are there any easy decisions that I can still take in regards to movement? Because I do like to do the easier stuff first before deciding to do the more difficult things. The most important reason for that is because is there a depot there? No. Anywhere else? No. The most important reason for that is that the more you know, the easier the other choices become. So. Anyway, I'm gonna take a little look at the time and see whether I still do have time. I'm trying to keep this to half an hour per episode, so I don't go overboard too much. Alright, yeah, I see that I'm over the time limit already. I will thus continue the offensive operations for Army Group Center in the next episode. As a quick recap of what happened this episode, we've reached Pskov and drove a wedge between the units in Latvia and Estonia and the forces in Russia. It's a thin line, but we'll see how the AI reacts to it. Should be interesting to see. If this was a human player, I would not take this risk at all, or probably I should actually move these guys up in here. We can still try to sever the rail line. Sure, but I'm feeling a bit more confident with the way things like this. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. We captured Pskov pretty much as the Germans historically did. July the 9th, sure. I mean, it's the week of the 6th to the 13th. So I guess in that sense we're looking good. The Germans got all the way up to Liadi. I will not make that, but yeah, basically, on the next turn, I should be able to get to Liadi and Soltsi. At least that's what the Germans historically did. So we'll be looking at that. Of course, on this side, pretty much these are next turn already because this is 6-13. So I will be looking at capturing Stanislavovo and Idritsa, potentially on historical capture dates as well. So I'm somewhat pleased at that. Drettin should actually be taken by me on the next turn. And then I should also be able to get all the way to Neville. July the 10th is this turn already. Gogodok. Just like this. Should be captured this turn. Just like Demidov. Basically, the way it seems like is I need to push through this area on this turn with the Panzers if I want to stick it to historical dates. I might actually be able to get some form of an encirclement here around Mogilev because there's only one rifle division here, which is relatively weak. If I can beat these guys back and do whatever is necessary around this area, I might actually be able to get a decent encirclement going if I can also cross at Orsha, but we'll have to see how many units there are there. Unfortunately, I don't... Yeah, last recon on turn 1. So my recon is definitely not catching up. I should probably put those air units in moving mode. And I will take a look at these. I cannot do that apparently on this turn now. I'd really hope to be able to set these also during the ground movement phase. I mean, I would have taken care of it if I had known that. Could have done it now. Maybe there's still a way to do it. I will have to take a look. But flying without air power is not particularly great. Anyway, besides that, you know, I think Army Group South definitely will have the biggest issues still all around. The Russians are able to actually get some kind of a solid defensive line going, and I'm not too sure on how great it's going to be trying to break through. Certainly something like that would be quite difficult, given that there's no real encirclement at this stage. Maybe if I swing these guys further south, but then indeed we're looking at a huge encirclement again. Just like historically happened. Those kind of encirclements are just generally quite unlikely. In a game like this. I guess they can happen, but no, that is, I guess it's just a bit weird. Anyway, thanks for watching this episode. Do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. One of the interesting things to note here is that Army Group North and Army Group Center are going to be indeed performing substantially better during the opening stages than Army Group South. So I do actually really like the way that this is working here. Germans really fought very hard in order to get to Kiev, and it is not going to be easy taking care of everything here. They also have to cover the longest distance if you consider Rostov all the way here. That is actually a distance which is pretty much as far as Moscow, if not further. Either way, I'm gonna wrap things up here. I want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, see you then, and bye-bye.